Breaker Crunchers. It's Saturday night in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you for joining us tonight, where by the end of the night, one of the three of us will expose ourselves as an undercover Boston police officer. So with me is Max and Sam. Say hi, you guys.
Hey,
Hello.
how's it going? Lance is just going to expose himself.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Starting with my boobies.
Is your internet any better, or are we still going to get
Well, I'm using the Mac.
Okay.
I'm using the Mac tonight, not the PC. I think that was the issue. Is
we'll
the PC is a piece of garbage. So but if you didn't get it from the show picture, we are talking about The Departed and Bad Times at the El Royale tonight, which watching The Departed again was quite fun, guys. I don't know if you watched it, but
oh yeah, it was on AMC today. It was actually just on regular TV, and
oh really?
Yeah, it was like 3.5 hours long with commercials though.
Did they edit out every single F word?
Yeah, they did. Of course they did, but
that's like half the movie, man. There's like 200.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
It's like, gonna feed me to the flippin' poor.
Yeah, Bad Times at El Royale is not that much better, is it? It's
I don't think it has nearly as many F words.
It doesn't. There's not as much swearing, but
well, I guess it's just the blood and stuff. It's
it's bloody. It's shockingly, like all of a sudden bloody.
Yeah.
Do you go ahead?
2 rated R movies tonight we're going over.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
We're going to the adult zone, boys.
Ain't nothing like some quarantine with some blood and guts.
No, speaking of a lot of F words, I started watching the Harley Quinn show on DC Universe.
Nice.
And holy crap, dude.
How far into are you?
Halfway through the 3rd episode.
Nice.
It is not at all what I expected. So Kaylin wanted to come and watch it with me because she loves Harley Quinn. And within 5 seconds, I'm like, get out. Like,
yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know. I thought you would.
I didn't know it was that bad. I thought it was like PG-13 or something. No, it's F word every 5 seconds, dude.
It's very rated R, and it's pretty bloody too.
Oh yeah, dude, she's hitting some dude in the head with her mallet, and there's just like blood and guts going everywhere. I'm like, this is a freaking cartoon, dude. Like, they need to put some kind of warning in the beginning of this.
Yeah, like a rating, maybe like a TVMA rating.
And I found it later. It's like right in the corner, like before you select it. It's like maybe a centimeter big on my TV. It says TVMA. If you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't know it.
I'm turning my TV on right now. I'm gonna figure this out.
They do not do a very good job of letting you know what this is rated. But we did. We finished the morning show today. Have you seen that one, Sam, on Apple TV?
I don't subscribe to Apple TV, despite your numerous requests that I watch Apple TV. I haven't seen any Apple TV yet.
Okay, so for a while I was like, why the heck is Apple coming out with their own streaming network? This is stupid. Like, we don't need another streaming network, right? Well, because of this quarantine thing, we've had to watch a lot of stuff and to kind of pass the time a little bit. And so I'm like, well, I've got this free year of Apple TV. Let's give it a shot. Every single thing I've seen on Apple TV has been a slam dunk. There hasn't been one bad show that Anna and I have seen that negates the reason for Apple TV to exist. So it's fantastic. And if you want to test it out, I can help you out with that.
I appreciate that.
But Max, are you watching anything right now?
Dude, yeah. Sorry, I was trying to see if I could see the rating.
Final Fantasy.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about that because you guys wouldn't let me talk about it last week, and I was kind of pissed off.
Dude, you went on for 30 minutes.
We talked about it for 25 minutes. We didn't let you talk about it?
You interrupted me every 4 seconds.
Sam and I were sitting here like, oh, like dozing our heads off and stuff.
I wasn't dozing off, but once I found out there was no chocobo husbandry featured in the game, I wasn't interested anymore.
All right. Well, anyway, other than Final Fantasy VII Remake, I just watched the latest episode of Star Wars Clone Wars. Oh my gosh, so good, man. After 4 duds, this was so nice to finally have a good episode. Best episode of the season, potentially one of the best episodes of the entire show, and probably top 3 things that Disney has released since they took over Star Wars. It was awesome.
Matt says, please don't.
I'm going to have to do a separate episode because I do want to talk more about that game, but I know you guys aren't into it. And I really want to talk about it.
Talking about video games is one of the most boring things I could think of.
You know what, though?
Sorry, Max.
Lance? I gotta disagree with you. I mean, maybe talking about it isn't as exciting for you, but I do enjoy the Let's Play videos on YouTube, especially like Mario Maker. Those are really fun to watch. I'm sure watching someone play Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be a lot of fun. Maybe Max ought to do a Twitch channel where he plays Final Fantasy VII and gives us some highlights that we can feature on the podcast.
We've actually spoken about having a Couch Crunchers sanctioned Twitch channel that I've been trying to push Max into, like, recording some of his gameplay. And he just wants to enjoy it for himself. He doesn't want to let anybody into his
so selfish.
There. I know.
Selfish.
I'm very selfish.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, okay? Right now I'm in the middle of a move and I've got a baby on the way.
I know, dude. Your bookshelves are looking bare.
I've got nothing.
Yeah.
Got nothing. I need to find a hobby. Is that for me, Unknown Reaper? It says you need to find a hobby. Gaming is a hobby.
Matt,
that is what I do.
That's Matt. That's Matt from Absolute Geek. Unknown Reaper.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Matt's hobby is buying as many Rode microphones as he possibly can.
Well, that's
for absolute Rode microphones that he can't use because all the cons are canceled.
But
okay, Sam needs a hobby. All right.
Oh, I need a hobby.
We can't manga and anime.
We can't all sit around listening to Foreigner all night, Matt.
I think I'm going to pressure Matt onto coming on the show next week because Max will not be with us, and Matt has talked several times about us watching Brigsby Bear, which Travis is quite interested on coming on and talking about that as well. So we might have a Sam, Matt, Travis, and Lance show next week, talking about Brigsby Bear.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, one of my favorite episodes was the Parasite episode that was the 4 of us, where we got into some deep dives, dude, on that movie.
That was a long episode. We had some really good content. It just seemed like we couldn't stop talking about that film, and there were some really good discussions, a lot of good back and forth. So yeah, if you're getting Matt and Travis back on to talk about something important to all of us, I would really be down. That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Message received. The podcast is better when Max is not on.
Dude, Sam, he got the hint. We've been trying for 2 years. No, just kidding.
I'm out. Yeah, we're sitting here going, Max needs to go do a Twitch channel. Max needs to go do a YouTube channel. Max needs to...
We've talked about doing a gaming podcast, but just timing, it's just tough to do 2 podcasts.
I think a Twitch channel would be better than a gaming podcast. I really do. I know there's a lot of Twitch channels out there, but I think with the amount that you play video games and how much you love them and how passionate you get about them, I think it'd be really good for our listeners to kind of check that out.
Yeah. Well, I won't talk too much more about it, but I do want to give my score on Final Fantasy VII Remake. Are we good if I do that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep my thoughts succinct here.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a buzzer if you go too long.
Okay. Okay, so I finished the campaign on Monday. Took me about 39 hours all said and done to complete all the story content. I did like every side quest as well. I mean, I did like everything. And now I'm going back and kind of getting like
Larry
and stuff. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Larry?
But anyway, I loved it. The combat is amazing. The story was really cool. There's some things that people that are fans of the series may not like, but all in all, great game. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. There might be a more in-depth special episode coming up because I do really want to talk about this game. It is like the end game of video games for me. So it's something I want to talk
the
about.
end game, like you're never going to play video games again because your life is going to end after this baby, or
no, it's the end game, and I was so excited for Avengers Endgame, just as much excited, actually more excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like that's what I mean. It's that kind of hype for me.
Is there a lot of assembling in this game?
There is some assembling. Yeah.
Final Fantasy assemble.
It's kind of a dating sim if you really look at it. It's all about who is Cloud going to end up dating. That's the real story.
I have a question. Is Final Fantasy where he has that really like wide blade? That's really,
totally unrealistic.
Yeah. That is totally unrealistic. Like you would swing that, and it's more of a blunt instrument than a sword.
This is why I'm surprised Sam isn't more interested in this. Final Fantasy VII is basically video game anime.
Oh,
and it totally is. It is 100% anime. And I think it's why I enjoy anime as much as I do, because I love JRPGs, Japanese role-playing games. And they're all basically video game anime.
Sure.
And I love
Sam's only interested if it has Jigglypuff in it.
Get that rest, baby.
He's like, Jigglypuff! Yeah, I've said it on the show 100 times, but watching Sam get so hyped watching other people play Super Smash Brothers is by far the most entertaining thing I've ever seen him do. He is just like,
you should watch me kick a guy in the nuts.
Oh, funny story about kicking a guy in the nuts. So a couple years ago, I spent a week in New Orleans, and there's a lot of interesting people in New Orleans, but there was this guy walking around. I think he recently lost his job or something, and he was just wearing a cardboard sign on his chest there, connected to the string,
like a sandwich board.
Yeah, and he was walking around telling people that for $5 they could kick him in the nuts. A guy I know paid him $100.
I kicked him 20 times.
I'm surprised the guy wasn't puking blood, dude.
Oh
like,
my gosh!
In this guy, I wasn't. I didn't want to be accessory to this current gross display of torture, but I would say that it's probably good if that guy can't have kids.
As someone who has kicked balls on TV, I will say that if you're going to kick someone in the balls, you want to make sure you're wearing a hard toe shoe, not a soft toe shoe, because you will feel the balls on your feet.
So that like one wrap, like they wrap around your foot, kind of.
Yeah. They give you a nice hug.
Yeah, it's like Tiger King at the computer.
You've kicked somebody in the nuts on TV?
Are you kidding me?
I've never heard this story.
Are you kidding me?
This was an American Ninja Warrior, was it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So in 2011, the first time I was on Ninja Warrior, the guy in front of me asked me to kick him in the balls. And
to hype up?
Well, so he turns around and he goes, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" I said, "It really depends on the favor, man." And he goes, "Well, I need you to kick me in the balls." And I was like, "I'll be honest, that doesn't sound like much of a favor." And he goes, "Well, so I'm the king of nut shots." And I was like, "Did they have like a competition, or was there like a coronation? Like, how do you know? How could you possibly know that you're the king of nut shots?" And he goes, "Well, that's my gimmick is I do these internet videos. It's kind of like Jackass, but 100% nut shots. I don't do anything besides nut shots." And I was like, "Well,
wow, that is very targeted."
I was like, "Okay, well,
hey, if you found your niche, go after it."
Get it. It's like friend in need, friend indeed. I'm your man. I'll do it. And as we're sitting there waiting for our turn to go, this gal comes up. I say gal, but her name is Sarah Jean Underwood. She's a Playboy Playmate, and she was a
oh, yep, I'm familiar.
She was a correspondent for one of the news shows on the G4 network, and she was interviewing different contestants. In front of me was the King of Nutshots. Immediately behind me was a sumo wrestler named Americus Abasamas, So she talked to the guy in front of me, and she skipped over me, and she went to the guy next to me. and right before skipping over me, she says, "Do you mind if I kick you in the balls?" And so the king of nut shots, he also goes by the name of the horse. He drops his drawers right there, and she lets him have it. She kicks him.
Wait, he got kicked exposed?
No, he had his underwear on, but that was it.
Oh.
So he took off his shorts, and he was wearing some dirty boxer briefs. And she kicked him once, and then we cheered her on to kick him 2 and 3 times. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess he got kicked. He doesn't need my help anymore. But then we get up to the starting line, and he's like, okay, it's time. You got to let me have it. I was like, dude, what was with the girl? He's like, that was from another show. We got to do it for American Ninja Warrior. I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, also, can you lean left? She hit me in the right. I need you to lean left. I was like, what? My left or your left? But he was gone. He didn't answer the question. He was just gone. I was like, oh, okay. All right. So we get up to the starting line, and I'm like, okay, like trying to psych myself up. Lean left. All right. Lean left. And so I kick him, but it went too far left. I kicked mostly thigh. And so he was like, that wasn't good enough. Do it again. I was like, okay. He goes, not so far left. I was like, okay, not so far left. And I kick him again. And again, it's mostly thigh. And he goes, again. I'm like, okay, Here we go. And I kick him a third time. And he says, again. I was like, okay, enough of this left, right nonsense. I'm just going straight up the middle. And so I was like channeling my football punter days, and I just like drop kick him straight up the middle. And he goes, no, that was a good one.
This guy is never going to have kids. Goodness.
And that's the story how Sam ended up with a testicle in his face.
That's not it. That's not the end. So he trots off to the starting line, and the camera guy turns around and he goes, wait, did you guys already do it? I wasn't filming. You got to come do it again.
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I kick him a 5th time. I kicked him 5 times, and he goes off and he runs the course. And there's 6 obstacles in this particular round of Ninja Warrior. And he's doing really, really well. Better than most of the competitors we had seen up to that point. And he gets to the 5th obstacle, which is like monkey bars, but they're really far apart. They're like 6 feet apart. And so you have to kind of leap from one to the other.
Yeah.
And there's 4 bars that he has to get through. And as he gets through them, no problem. But as he's dismounting, he takes it a little too quick, and he missteps on the dismount. And he ends up stepping backwards and into the water, which is out. You can't touch the water in Ninja Warrior. So he touches the water, he's out. And he's like devastated. You know, he puts his hands to his face, and he can't believe what happened. And there's some like scaffolding alongside the obstacle that's holding the water in. And he like jumps up in the air like he's going to go into the water, but he's not quite headed directly into the water. He's headed towards the scaffolding, and he spreads his legs, spread eagle, and racks himself on the scaffolding before falling into the water. And
I need some psychological help, man.
I think that Johnny Knoxville should be picking up the phone, bro.
And everyone's crazy. Well, you know what's funny is he was on America's Got Talent the next year doing nut shots, and he made it to like the 3rd round doing nut shots.
Wow.
I mean, he's a nice guy. Yeah, he's kind of wrapped up in the nut shot thing, and yeah. What's funny is he actually does have 2 kids. And both of them were conceived after he started doing the nut shot. So he does have balls of steel.
Wow.
But the thing that no one told me was that I was going to feel his balls on my foot after I was kicking it. So yeah, you got to wear hard toe shoes if you're going to be kicking someone in the nuts, because you will feel those nuts on your toes.
And that is the story of Sam's gay experience.
I mean, there wasn't anything gay about it, but it was.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yikes.
I'm just kidding. Well, that was a good story to open up the show, dude.
Right.
But let's get into these 2 movies where I don't remember any nut shots in this movie.
No, there's no nut shots.
So, Sam, you watched The Departed today, right?
Yeah, I did watch both movies recently. Very good movies. The reason why, so we were originally talking about just doing Bad Times at Royale. You guys hadn't seen that movie, and I suggested we watch that movie, and I suggested we watch The Departed with it because these two movies are basically around the same theme, which is duality. You have people who have dual natures.
Right.
In The Departed, you have basically the mob and the cops, and in each of those there is a mole. There's an undercover cop working with the mob, and there's a mob plant in the police department, and they have to hide their duality, right? And then Bad Times at El Royale, every character that comes to the hotel, and the hotel itself has a dual nature. And as the movie goes throughout, it really focuses on the fact that the first time you meet each character, your initial impression of them is wrong.
Right.
And just like the first time you see the hotel, it has these two sides, but your initial impression of the hotel as this kind of luxury destination is also wrong. Turns out there's a much seedier side to this hotel. And also to all the people there. And there's a big twist at the end that one of the characters that you thought was a loser and the seediest of all the characters turns out to be the guy who saves the day.
The hero.
Freaking awesome, by the way.
And
so cool.
And so that's why we're looking at these two movies together is how they each treat the idea of duality and dual natures. And in The Departed, each of them is trying very hard to hide their dualities. And in Bad Times at El Royale, each of the characters, we just kind of naturally see them. Some of them are actively trying to hide the other side of them. Whereas some of them, we just, through the course of the movie, we realize or we discover the other side of them just through the natural course. They're very, very good, both movies. And I think it's a real treat to kind of look at them together and explore the theme of duality.
So I watched them one after the other on Monday. Literally Departed ended, popped it out, and watched Bad Times. I was surprised at how good Bad Times was because it didn't get the kind of praise that Departed got. If you guys both agree with me. I mean, I think
audience good. It's not as good as The Departed, though.
No, but audience members loved it. It just didn't get that same level of praise. I thought it was a lot better than probably what box office numbers probably would illustrate it as.
Well, I will say that the ads for the movie did a really poor job of explaining what the movie was about because basically every scene was a spoiler, and
right.
and you couldn't have a lot of interesting things in the trailer without spoiling the movie. And Matt says it's a boring movie. I disagree with that. I think it unfolds slowly at the beginning, but then it really takes you for a ride once you start seeing, the nature of the hotel itself. It's really kind of a mystery thriller, and it takes you on a pretty wild ride towards the end. Now, I also want to say this about The Departed. You may not know this, but it's a remake of a Chinese movie called Infernal Affairs, or the English name before it is Infernal Affairs. And so maybe that's...
Matt says It Chapter 2 is a more entertaining movie. I couldn't disagree more.
I don't agree, but yeah.
It Chapter 2 it ruined the first one for me, but that's as far as we'll go on that.
So perhaps The Departed, it has, director Martin Scorsese, who obviously gets a lot of praise and a lot of publicity when he comes out with a movie. Yeah. It's also a remake, so it has the advantage of having basically being a second draft of the same content. It is also loaded with spectacular actors. Not that the actors in El Royale are not spectacular, but I just feel like perhaps the bona fides of The Departed maybe are a little bit
Quantum Tiles on.
They're a little bit more blessed in Hollywood than, say, El Royale's bona fides.
Yeah, I would say that both these casts were fantastic. I don't think there was one really poor member of the cast in either of these movies.
That's
Departed. Yeah, go ahead.
Interesting thing. They both feature a kind of iconic location. Well, El Royale is less iconic, but Boston is. It's almost like the setting itself is a character in the movie.
Right.
Boston plays a heavy role. The hotel, the El Royale, plays a big role. And it's not just a setting, but it kind of explore the things that get explored through the course of the movie. And it kind of lends a character to the movie that doesn't get a credit at the end. Yeah,
I agree. The hotel, like, kind of discovering all of its hidden features in the hotel was interesting too, because the movie is constantly changing what you think the movie is, right? So we're going into spoilers, right?
Yeah, it's already there.
I know, I just, in case our podcast people on Monday, but you have this this hotel, everybody's checking in, and you're like, okay, why are all these people checking in the same hotel? It's almost as if you think that some other force has brought them there. Well, no, that they were all just kind of brought there for the sake of fate, right? All these different people. And then you start realizing, well, the hotel's isn't really a hotel. It has this whole backstory to it where it has these secret tunnels where every room has kind of like a peep show window in it, and there's these owners and stuff. I know Max had a question of,
I've got so many questions. This movie leaves way too many unanswered questions.
Well, okay. Well, first let's describe the setting. So the El Royale is a hotel that sits on the California-Nevada border.
Right.
And half the hotel, so it's by Lake Tahoe. Half the hotel is in California and half the hotel is in Nevada, which gives the hotel itself a dual nature. If you stay in California, it costs $1 more, and you can drink there. You can buy alcohol on the California side, but you can't buy it in the Nevada side, but you can gamble, and it costs $1 less on the Nevada side. And all of the people who go there end up purchasing or staying the night on the Nevada side. And then as you go through the movie, you realize, well, the first character is played by Jon Hamm, and when you meet him, he comes across as a vacuum salesman, and he says that he's there on a business trip trying to sell vacuums. And then he gets into his room, and he demands a particular room, the number 1 room on the Nevada side. And when he gets into the room, he unpacks his vacuum, and you realize it's not a vacuum at all. He's some kind of FBI agent, and he's there to clean out the bugs in the room, like the audio bugs, not actual bugs. He's not a pest control guy. He's there to remove the microphones and recording devices that are planted all over the room. But as he starts doing it, he realizes that there's 2 sets of bugs. There's 2 sets of recording devices. And so this kind of kicks off the idea that there's a lot more going on here than what we see when we first get to the hotel. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes. And that kicks off the idea that, okay, we're going to be watching a movie where the first impression we have of people ends up being wrong. And then it's going to be clarified throughout the movie.
The only one that could you argue that the only one that doesn't have a second personality is the singer?
I was no. Absolutely wrong. She does. Absolutely, she does. So
okay, explain that to me.
Yeah. When she's introduced, she is this kind of. She's wearing a wig.
Yeah.
she's there as like some kind of performance artist, very, very popish type music. She seems kind of meek. And then when you get into the backstory, you start to see that, okay, so she's the victim of sexual harassment. And throughout the course of the movie, she takes the wig off. She hits a guy over the head with a bottle of liquor. She basically becomes a badass through the course of the movie. And she stands up to some very bad people.
Well, but it wasn't her trying to hide who she is to anyone else. It's just kind of she
takes that wig off, right? So she takes the wig off, and that's kind of where her character changes.
Yeah. Well, that's more of a symbolic thing, though, right? Because I mean, a lot of Black women in that time wore wigs like that.
Sure, and that's the idea, is that you're seeing them from one perspective, and then through the course of the movie, something changes. They're not necessarily doing it on purpose, but
right.
But you are seeing them in a different light. Like the sisters, for example, when they get there, you think one of them is a kidnapper and the other one is a victim. And that turns out to be completely the opposite of what's going on. And then, of course, you have the priest played by Jeff Bridges. Mm-hmm. And he's not a priest at all. He's actually a bank robber.
Which I wish they wouldn't have shown that in the trailer. I wish they would have not told you in the trailer that he's not a priest. Because that was I think that would have been a better reveal for the movie, but oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to do a trailer for this movie without exposing a bunch of stuff, wasn't it?
It's very true. They did a good job of not exposing who Chris Evans' character was, though, I feel like.
Or Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Which his character ended up being freaking crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was kind of cool to see him in that light. Of course, he's a cult leader.
He's like a Charles Manson type cult leader, where he's inspiring people to do crimes, and that was kind of the background stuff. You know, Max, a lot of the questions you had were answered by the background cult activities. The senator that was attacked, or the guy that was attacked and who showed up in a lot of those films, he was attacked by the little sister.
So did they ever say he was a senator? Because I rewatched those scenes and they never said he was a senator.
The guy that she attacked was, I don't know if they said it was a senator.
I thought he was a judge of some sort.
So to me, it was implied, but it was just like they left a lot of open questions. Who was running the hotel? Why did they want the footage? That's blackmail. Like, that's fine. What did the FBI want? We never really discovered that because Jon Hamm's character gets killed as soon as
Jon Hamm was there to clean out the bugs. So some of those questions you kind of just go like they don't need to be answered. Like,
I agree.
Who's running the hotel? It's not necessary to the story. You just know that there's some like seedy people.
Literally last week we were talking about how a movie will try to misdirect you, and there's another question that needs to be answered. And so this time, as I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking, no, there's another question they're not answering here. Who's running the hotel, and why do they keep focusing on that so much? Keeps talking about management and how he needs to send this stuff to management, but he won't say who management is. He doesn't know who they are. He doesn't matter. And that's why
I didn't feel that it was necessary to the story. I guess I just kind of assumed they were just kind of seedy people.
Too much of a focus on it. Like, as soon as Father Flynn found out about the film, he was so anxious to get it. He had to have that film. And I guess I could see that as he's like a con man. He wants to get the film.
Oh, he had completely, self-serving reasons of getting that film. He wanted to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
the kind of way Father Flynn was there not for the film. He was there to get the money that was buried in the room.
Yeah.
By Nick Offerman.
Yeah, but then as soon as he found out about the film, he was like, he wouldn't get off that point. I rewatched it because I had the question, and as soon as he found out about it, he's like, as a man from God, I'm asking you, where is that film? God wants to know where that film is.
Because he knew how much that'd be worth.
Yeah, that's true.
You're probably right. That's probably all
it was worth far more money than what was in that bag. He would have been willing to get rid of that entire bag.
Also,
for that film.
Did you guys think it was weird that he was playing Father Flynn and his character's name in Tron was also Flynn.
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't connect that until you just like before you even said Tron. I was like, oh shit.
No, I did not connect that. That's funny.
I
don't know.
There was a couple things that you just kind of gotta. They had to create a setting, right? So the setting required this tunnel with these rooms in it that people could watch in these rooms without anybody knowing, right? So it doesn't really matter who is running the hotel. You just kind of think that they're bad people. But because of that, they find out that Dakota Johnson's character has her sister tied to a chair. They find out that that senator, judge, or whatever was having affairs, right? So it kind of set up all these things afterwards. I think it'd be cool eventually if there was a sequel to this movie, like maybe a prequel that kind of shows what was going on in the hotel and stuff like that. I think that'd be cool, but I don't think it's necessary to this particular story.
Yeah, I don't know that you would be able to do a sequel to this. I feel like this is it's kind of like the movie we talked about last week, the Knives Out, where you have this particular setup and the story structure is what's important. It's not necessarily the characters themselves as much as it is the story structure, where you're introducing a bunch of people and intentionally misleading the audience as to their nature in the beginning. And then through the course of the movie, you're exploring a second nature or a hidden nature duality.
Yeah.
You could do another, like a Bad Times at second location, another location. But I feel like it's the structure that's really important, and it's not so much the characters.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Kind of what they're... maybe you could have one recurring character, like the singer or something like that, if you wanted to kind of connect the two. But you wouldn't need to.
I guess that's where a lot of my issues come from. I was looking at this as this is a standalone movie. It's not going to have a sequel. It's not going to have prequels. It's very much standalone. And they just left a lot of unanswered questions that I don't think were valuable. Because I can see when a movie leaves unanswered questions and makes you mull it over. They want you to think about it. Like Inception. Did it fall or did it not fall at the end there? That's a fun thing to speculate about. That's a good unanswered question. I didn't feel like some of the unanswered questions in this were very valuable, but that's just my perspective.
All right, so let's go through the questions. Now, you already asked who was running the hotel. Management was running the hotel.
Yeah, who's management?
It doesn't matter. Right? Management is this kind of shady shadow organization. Maybe it's the government because Jon Hamm is there on behalf of the FBI. Maybe it's blackmailers. Maybe it's the mob. Maybe it's the mob that has ties to Las Vegas and they're just trying to get leverage so they can get their casinos built.
I wouldn't doubt that it's the mob, especially because they pull in the Nevada aspect where, like with gambling and casinos and stuff, that's there's a heavy mob presence when it comes to casinos and stuff like that. And Nevada was kind of started by the mob. I think that'd be cool to kind of think that maybe it was the mob.
Yeah, I think you're meant to pull in some kind of historical background, but it's not critical to your understanding of the story. It's just background. What did
Casino? Is it Casino that focuses on the mob starting Vegas?
I don't know about starting, but it definitely deals with the mob involvement in the Vegas casinos. Yeah.
There's a movie, and I can't remember which one it is, where it's basically about the mob starting Vegas, like opening these casinos, and it was like kind of a barren day. I'll find out, and then it was a great movie. I'm pretty sure it might have been Casino, but I don't remember.
Max then asked, what did the FBI want? As far as the story is concerned, the FBI wanted to get their bugs out of the hotel.
See, I'm not sure if that's entirely all they wanted. Because I rewatched those scenes again where the FBI, where Jon Hamm's talking to Hoover, essentially. And Hoover made it seem like such a big deal. Stay on your mission. Don't get involved in the other stuff. Stay on your mission.
Yeah, absolutely. And his mission was to get the bugs and get out. And he
Did
got
you guys
involved.
notice that we watched 2 movies in a row where the FBI director was named Hoover?
Well, I think
that's
Hoover
real.
was-
That's real life. Hoover was the director of the FBI.
Yeah, but in Clue, in the time of Clue, and in the was this
same.
this was the same time period?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, this was the 70s, and that was in the 50s. Was Hoover the FBI director for 20-something years?
For a long time, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize that.
Anyway, they made it seem like the FBI, what the FBI wanted was a bigger deal. Obviously, it didn't end up being a bigger deal. But I think watching the mystery movies last night in our conversation really had me like digging for additional things here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, as well you should. You should definitely do that.
Max wanted that aha moment that Sam had
Well, I
every
was
week.
sitting here the whole time. I'm sitting here the whole time like the FBI is really interested in this. Are they going to show up at some point? You know, like what's going on here? Or I don't know. Or is the father working for management? Or were we going to find out that the father was also with the FBI? Like that's the kind of stuff I was thinking. Because the trailers to me always made this seem like a mystery. And I know last week Sam said it's not really a mystery so much as it's something else.
Yeah.
But I was looking at it because the trailers to me portrayed it as such, and it didn't really deliver because that's not what it is.
It's not what it is. And you know, when I saw it the first time, I was expecting something along the lines of a mystery because again, the trailer makes it seem like that's what it's going to be. Yeah. And the trailer has to do that because if they tell you what it really is, you're spoiling it. Yeah. It spoils the movie. So really the less you know, the better going into it.
Yeah.
They should have just had a trailer that just showed each of the actors' faces and said, "Come see this movie. It's awesome."
And and a surprised look on their face, right? Like,
yeah. But kind of like what they do with animated movies, where it's like they show this animated movie that you're not really paying attention to what the heck it is, and then at the end it just has all like 15 names one after the other of these people starring this movie, and that's the real reason why you should go watch that movie.
Well, it's interesting because I wasn't overly interested in the trailer. Like it looked okay, like in 2018 when this was coming out, but because Chris Hemsworth was in it, Jeff Bridges, why am I forgetting her name? Dakota. Whatever. Is it Fanning?
Yeah, she's not a Dakota Johnson. She's not a selling point for me. I'm sorry.
She's not like a big selling point, but like there was big names. It was more Chris Hemsworth and Jeff Bridges that had me interested in watching the movie. And then I like Jon Hamm, although I've been noticing he plays a lot of the same roles and stuff. But
that's what you call a one-dimensional actor.
Yeah, he always plays a dick with a bad accent.
Yeah, he was a big dick in freaking
Richard Jewell.
Yeah, he's a jerk in that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we don't need to go over my other questions. The point for me is that it took it down a notch for me because it just left too many. It had too many plot threads going on all at the same time, and it just didn't seem like a very well succinct story. For the 2 hours or whatever the movie was, it felt like it had too much going on. That's what I didn't like about it. I still really enjoyed the movie. I loved the clerk, you know, the guy who was running the hotel. I loved his character and his arc was great. I liked Darlene's arc. I liked all of their arcs. It just felt like a lot to stuff into the movie and it made it overly complicated. And I don't know. There was just something about it that I wasn't a big fan of all that.
It was all about the payoff at the end. I mean, the payoff at the end is like they were all setting up this payoff, you know.
The payoff with the clerk was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And
well, because he's the most unassuming of the entire cast, right?
Well, not only that, but he goes through 2 transitions, right? When we meet him, he's this kind of incompetent clerk, and you know we don't know why he's late to respond to the bell. You know, you've got Father Flynn and Darlene and Jon Hamm's character, the vacuum salesman, waiting for the clerk to appear so that they can register for the rooms. And then they're ringing the bell and they're looking around and finally he shows up and he just seems like he's kind of wishy-washy, kind of an incompetent employee. And then later on you find out, oh, well, he's on drugs. You think, okay, well, that's his hidden secret. That's the thing that they've been waiting to hide. And then the twist at the end is no, there's actually more to him than that. It's not just that he's an incompetent clerk. It's that he's actually suffering from PTSD because he was a sniper. He was a sniper. And he ends up getting his hands on a rifle and saves the day because he's actually really, really good at that particular skill. And
not just really good, like some of his shots he was
an
doing, it was like,
killer.
wow, like that's almost unnatural.
Yeah.
Like that one where the guy barely peeked over the car and he blasted his head off. I'm like, yeah, that's impossible.
But it makes for a really exciting finale to the
whole
thing.
It capped it off beautifully. I thought it was I thought the ending was by far the best part of the movie. Not the most shocking. The most shocking, I had to rewind it because I looked down and I heard that the girl smashed Jeff Bridges in the head with a liquor bottle. I was like, what the hell just happened? These two were dancing and singing. Then I saw, of course, Jeff Bridges was putting the roofie in her drink.
Slipping her a Mickey.
Yeah.
Which that was interesting too, because you're thinking, oh, this guy's trying to like rape this girl, right? And then you find out a few minutes later that no, he was actually trying to get her to sleep so he can get into her room and find the bag that Nick Offerman's character left in the floorboards.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was a really it was a really unique idea to put forth in a movie. Like, it was original. I didn't think that in a world where we live in, where there's so many adaptations and remakes and everything like that, it was nice to see a movie that kind of seemed like an original thought, something interesting. I don't think this was adapted from anything. Is that right?
I don't think so. And it does follow some unique beats. It kind of, we talked about Clue last week, but it's kind of along the same vein as Clue, where you have a lot of crazy characters. And so in order to give each one their due, you end up devoting a little time to everybody and not a lot of time to any one or two characters. Definitely Jeff Bridges and Darlene Father Flynn and Darlene get the most treatment. But they don't get a ton more than the other characters.
I think that's the risk you're always going to run into with these, is that you're always going to have questions by the end of the movie because they're not telling the story about one person. So you can't devote 2 hours to giving you the entire backstory of the hotel or the entire backstory of Jeff Bridges or something like that.
Which is why I think The Departed tells a better story. And it is longer too. I think it's 3 hours, even without all the commercials. But it focuses more on just two characters. It's really focusing on Matt Damon's character and Leonardo DiCaprio's character. And then a little bit on
Jack Nicholson.
There's some Jack Nicholson focus. And then why am I forgetting
Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg's character, who ends up, kind of being the only one that comes out on top in the end. But
I don't think they focus too much on Mark Wahlberg's character.
No, they don't. I'm saying they focus.
He's more like the sleeper cell. He's the one that you kind of sleep on, and then in the end he pops up and he's the guy that gets the job.
And that's what I'm saying. I think The Departed does a better job, is it focuses on two characters, and it has the other characters that are side characters that are still interesting, but you don't need to focus on them as much.
Well, you could argue that that's the difference between these two movies, is that where Bad Times at El Royale is more of an ensemble thing. There's not really a main character unless you count the hotel, I guess.
Yeah.
Where The Departed, it's Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon's movie, and then thirdly Jack Nicholson's movie, I would argue. But Leonardo DiCaprio is the main character.
He's definitely under the most pressure in that movie. He's and you see him kind of unraveling as time goes on. Now Vera Farmiga also plays kind of an interesting character because she's basically sleeping with the two main characters
in the middle,
and she's caught in the middle. And
by the way, I never found her super, she's a very attractive woman, but in this movie, holy crap, dude, she's pretty hot in this movie, dude. I don't want to discount her at all, but she was in Bates Motel, right?
I don't know.
She was in the series. She played the mom in the series.
So I guess I always had this mom look to her, and they kind of sex her up in this movie. There's a few scenes that
Dude,
that I wasn't expecting.
They sex her up in Bates Motel too, right? That's about a kid who has an Oedipal complex.
Well, I didn't watch the last season of Bates Motel, so I guess I just saw a mom the whole time. But I'm sorry to distract, but I see Vera Farmiga in a totally different light now. But no,
well, good for you, Lance. Seeing women in multiple lights. Good
dude,
job.
I have been locked in this house for far too long.
You're starting to look at your guitar as like
he's got a pregnant wife, so we know he ain't getting that much.
Yeah, my guitar is like, wow, my guitars have a really feminine figure to them.
Look at those curves.
Oh,
There's
man.
a hole. There's a hole.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. The guitar has a little junk in the trunk.
There you go.
But no, the movie, I'm shocked that I hadn't watched it. Like, I've only seen it once prior to this week. And I remember that I loved it so much the first time I watched it. I was shocked that I hadn't seen it again. And I'm glad that I got the opportunity to do so, because it kind of reminded me how good this movie actually is. I think Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon's roles in this movie are some of the better roles of their career.
It's tough with DiCaprio, dude. He has, I can just think 4 off the top of my head, amazing roles from the guy. You got Departed, you've got Inception, Shutter Island, and The Revenant. Like, you take those 4, they're all outstanding. And Matt Damon obviously has good ones too, with not Shawshank Redemption. Well, he's in that too, isn't he?
No, he's The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Good Will Hunting is the one I was saying.
Downsizing.
That one I heard is not good. But The Martian.
The Martian is fantastic.
Like, those
Downsizing is
really
actually pretty funny. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I haven't.
It's funny. It's a good one to.
It's lighthearted. It's lighthearted, but ultimately pointless.
It's the point is, it's no wonder that this movie is so good when you have a very good director. Like, we've given Scorsese crap on this podcast because of his comments about Marvel, but he's an amazing director. And then you have Leonardo DiCaprio and you have Matt Damon and Jack Nicholson. They're all very talented actors, very talented artists, and so it's no wonder that it's a great movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's even Mark Wahlberg, who I guess you wouldn't really say is the best of actors. I mean, I like him. I like him in a lot of things he's done, but he's not really in that same vein as Leonardo DiCaprio or Matt Damon or Alec Baldwin or Jack Nicholson or any of those other people.
But you don't like The Happening?
No. But he
the Transformers, man, he just puts in such a dramatic performance.
He even does a really good job in this movie. I don't think there's a weak link anywhere in this movie, unless
Alec Baldwin.
I guess you could say Alec Baldwin. It kind of almost seems like a throwaway role for him. It was his opportunity to be in a Martin Scorsese movie, I guess. But you don't see him a whole lot in it, so you kind of forget that he's even in it,
Yeah.
Martin Sheen. Is it Martin Sheen?
Yep,
yeah.
He's in it.
Martin Sheen's role in this movie is
that's the other cop, right?
Pretty awesome too.
Yeah,
well, he's the director or something like that. Yeah. But
he's the only one who knows Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, Mark Wahlberg.
I don't think he did. I don't think Wahlberg.
No, he didn't know.
No, he did.
Wahlberg and Martin Sheen were in the room every time they were talking to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, they were both in on it.
Yeah. Right. They're the only two. And Mark Wahlberg is the one that's constantly getting grief from Matt Damon about he needs to give him the codes or whatever so he can find out who their informant is. But Martin Sheen, when he gets thrown off that building, I forgot that happened.
Dude, that's like the critical moment.
There's a lot of moments that I forgot because I saw
that's when things start going sideways for.
Well, this movie came out in 2008, right?
Yeah,
6. I think I saw it in 2009 for the first time.
Came out a long time.
And then I didn't watch it again until like 2 months ago. I had forgotten so many plot beats. All I really remembered is that I loved it and I wanted to see it again. So then when at the end of the movie, Leonardo DiCaprio gets capped by Matt Damon, I was like, crap, I forgot that's what happened.
No, he didn't get, it wasn't him that shot Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, Matt Damon just straight up like shoots him in the head. No, it was Matt Damon's partner that shoots Leonardo DiCaprio in the head.
because Leonardo DiCaprio has Matt Damon in handcuffs.
Maybe you're right. Anyway,
Yeah.
the point
So his partner comes Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio are in there. The partner shoots Leonardo DiCaprio in the head. The partner gets while he's getting Matt Damon free, Anthony Anderson comes around, shoots Anthony Anderson, and then gets Matt Damon free. Matt Damon picks up the gun and shoots his partner. So Matt Damon's the only one that walks away from the entire thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, holy crap, this guy's gonna get away with it, right?
And Mark Wahlberg comes in.
And then Mark Wahlberg in booties and a jumpsuit comes in and just caps him right in his hotel room or apartment or whatever. And you're like, yeah, that was the perfect. Well, like if you think about it, the only good guys that really die is Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Sheen, right? Mark Wahlberg finally gets away. Like,
yeah, Mark Wahlberg's a freaking dick, but he was a good guy. Like he was a good
guy. He wanted to do good things. He was just kind of abrasive and everything. The part that was crazy, the turn that you don't really see coming, is that you find out Jack Nicholson was an FBI informant the entire time, right? That he was feeding information. They kind of allude to it midway through the movie, but it's kind of like he may or may not be, right? But he kind of confesses at the end when he's sitting on that bulldozer. You know, of course I'm giving information to the FBI. How do you think I'm not in jail yet? Because if I didn't give information to the FBI, I wouldn't be able to get away with half the things I'm doing, right? So that was kind of cool that the whole time they're going after this guy, they want to throw him in jail. And really, the dude's untouchable. That even if they did catch him in the act of something, he would have been able to walk free.
Yeah.
So the whole investigation is pointless.
So here's the interesting thing about The Departed, and we were talking about duality. Leonardo DiCaprio spends the whole movie trying to protect his identities, his secret identity,
right?
And that's what ends up killing him in the end. That's the irony.
Because Anthony Anderson doesn't even realize that he is part of the police force,
right?
So it kind of slows him down, and then he gets met with the partner on the first floor. But a question for you. So when Martin Sheen gets thrown off that building, so that guy gives Leonardo DiCaprio the address, right? And it turns out it was the wrong address. But the guy never says anything, right? He dies shortly after. And then there's a TV news announcement that this guy was an informant. And Jack Nicholson says, well, of course they said they was informant, so I wouldn't look for the informant. But I'm questioning, was he really some sort of informant? Because he never outed Leonardo DiCaprio through the whole thing. Because obviously some time passed that they were able to go back to the hideout. This guy was not dead yet. They were able to get him out of the van and do all these things. You think he would have told somebody?
I took it as there was two informants. That's what I took it as.
But Jack Nicholson specifically says, well, of course he wasn't an informant. They're just saying that so I won't look for the rat. So I'm wondering. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if
it's not a super important question. It was just something I was kind of thinking as I was watching the movie.
That to me is a good question. That's a good one to where it's like, oh, I wonder, because it could be either way.
Yeah.
But I personally think that he was. I think they were just both informants. That's what I took from it. But you're right. It could also be them feeding false information to get them off of Leonardo DiCaprio's trail.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it just seems like that whole crew was just a bunch of FBI informants.
Yeah,
so just FBI informants gone evil. So no, but the movie it kind of affirms the fact of how great a director Martin Scorsese is and how good of actors Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon are.
Yeah.
I know I haven't seen The Irishman, but I've heard from many people that it's not as great,
near as good as this. Not even close.
It's a shame that it was nominated for Best Picture. Then the whole Best Picture thing kind of there's a lot of movies that get nominated that you're like, well, why was that nominated, right?
Excuse me.
Why was that nominated? It kind of tarnishes the value of that award.
I mean, I don't know. It just depends on your perspective. Some people love The Irishman, but again, it's personal preference, right? Because Goodfellas is lauded as like some amazing masterpiece. And I really liked Goodfellas. I actually saw it for the first time recently. But I would say that The Departed, Shutter Island, Silence. Those are all better Martin Scorsese movies than Goodfellas was. But it's tough when you have a director that doesn't do anything but make hits. He doesn't make anything but a good movie. So when you're comparing them all, you're like, is it a 9 or a 9?
Didn't he do The Aviator?
He did The Aviator. I haven't seen that.
That was a snoozer.
Was it?
I did not like The Aviator. Did you like The Aviator, Sam?
Or Aviator.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That was the first one I think he did with Leonardo DiCaprio, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. Yeah, I think you're right. He did Taxi Driver, which is what The Joker is based on. I haven't seen Taxi Driver, but I've heard it's fantastic.
Taxi Driver. So I watched Taxi Driver for the first time about 10 years ago. And it's a cool movie, but I don't understand a lot of the praise that it gets. It has some really cool scenes in it. And Robert De Niro does a really good job. It's just kind of boring.
It might be because of the time,
Maybe.
Because it could be that 20 years from now, people are going to look back at things like Joker, which was very well received last year, and say, that was dumb,
Maybe. I don't know. Sam, you haven't given many. What did you think of The Departed? Like, kind of go deeper into it.
Well, so I want to look at it in terms of the idea of duality, and the one main point that I wanted to bring up was what I said already about Leonardo DiCaprio. He works so hard to maintain this dual identity, and in the end, it's what kills him. And then you have Matt Damon, who's essentially his dual nature is a sinking ship or a shrinking island where the waters are coming up around him, and he only has a limited amount of time before he's discovered. And so
Right.
he's like a race against the clock to keep his dual nature. And the duality is where all the tension comes from. And the idea being that they have the secret that they can't let out, otherwise they're dead. And for Leonardo DiCaprio, the opposite is true. It's because he doesn't let the secret out that he dies. And for Matt Damon, it does end up being true that he gets discovered because he's able to escape. He gets discovered, and then Mark Wahlberg is able to pinpoint that he's the mole. And so the idea of these dualities, competing dualities, are what is essentially killing these characters, and that yet they spend the entirety of the movie trying to protect them. So it's a really fun storytelling device. It's something that I'm enjoying now in a different setting. So One Piece, as you guys know, is my primary source of entertainment, has been for the last 15 years. And they're in like a setting right now, which is a lot like feudal Japan, with the samurai and the ninjas and that kind of thing. But there is a lot of this duality and these like hidden agents, these secret agents. And it is a lot like The Departed, where you have multiple sides, and each side has moles in all the other sides. So the pirate crew has an inside man in the bad guy's crew, and the bad guy has an inside man in the pirate crew. And so it's very entertaining to watch. And you as the audience are trying to figure out where the mole is. And it's only recently come to light who the moles are. And it was very tense, and it was very suspenseful. And it can be a very good device to have this kind of hidden duality in your characters. And so it's very well used in The Departed. I thought it was also very fun in Bad Times at El Royale. I do think Departed is a better movie overall, but the idea that they were able to build an entire movie, an entire story, just around one notion in Bad Times at El Royale, I thought was really fantastic. And so I hope that everybody gets a chance to see Bad Times at El Royale. I disagree with Matt, who earlier said it was boring. I thought it was really actually fun. And it gets really kind of chaotic as soon as Chris Hemsworth shows up at the El Royale. and things just kind of go off the rails at that point.
They go unpredictable at that point. Like you don't know. So far, everything had a sense of predictability to it. Not as far as an audience member, but like there was plans in motion and things like that. Like people were trying to devise ways to get out of certain situations and stuff. And then when Chris Hemsworth comes in, he's kind of like this this complete disaster that is unpredictable. There's no planning. It's just him kind of wreaking havoc on this situation, right? So, I mean, you could argue Dakota Johnson had a plan. The priest devises a plan with Cynthia. Jon Hamm has a plan. It ends badly, of course, for all of them. But the one unpredictable force of nature is Chris Hemsworth that just kind of comes in and just F's everything up.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's like the kind of the Iceman that cometh, right? He's the guy that everyone is dreading showing up, and then when he shows up, everything goes chaotic and it just goes off the rails, like you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed both of these movies, and I like the idea of duality in characters, and that being the idea that drives the narrative. Here's a character, you see him in one light at the beginning, but it turns out he's got a secret, and you've got to find out what the secret is through the story.
Yeah, I think that those are some of the most interesting stories to write, because I think that they take a certain level of screenwriting that's more difficult than just writing a typical action movie or something like that, or a typical gangster movie. Is when you're writing these double-sided to these characters and things that are believable. You know, the singer turning into kind of the hero of the story, or the clerk or whatever, and having these believable shifts in personality. You know, I think that's extremely difficult to write a character like that. So it's cool to see original storytelling done in this fashion, where you know that there was an art put to it. You know,
absolutely. And the real difficulty, I think, with Bad Times is that you have to tease these secrets without giving them away, so that they are consistent with the character. And the way that they do that is they show you bits and pieces of the whole picture, especially with the clerk. Like at the beginning, he's very late getting to the front desk. He's very late. And then they show you later on, oh, well, it's because he's doing drugs behind the counter. And then you're like, well, why is he doing drugs? Is he just a junkie? Well, no, it turns out he has PTSD. And so this is how he copes with the trauma of all the violence that he saw. And it's just little bits and pieces that they're feeding you throughout the movie that explains these dual natures in a way that's compelling. And it's a very fantastic device, the way that they did it in both The Departed and Bad Times. And it's not something that you see a lot of. You do see people kind of transitioning, but the way that they do it here, it's like you're seeing two sides of a setting that informs your view of the characters. Boston in The Departed has two sides. It has the law-abiding side, and it has the seedy underbelly. The Bad Times at El Royale has a California, Nevada side, but guess what? It also has the legitimate business side, and then it has the blackmail, seedy underbelly. And this idea of dual setting informs the audience as to how they should be viewing the movie and the characters.
Tell you what Bad Times at the El Royale made me want to do. Made me want to bring a blanket and put it over any mirror I ever see ever again.
Yeah, certainly at a hotel. Yeah.
If they want to listen in on my conversations, fine. I just don't need them seeing me naked.
I'm going to get naked back here. I said no peeking.
Well, should we give our ratings, or is there more we want to talk about on these?
No, I think it's good. Let's give our ratings.
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. Max, why don't you go first with Bad Times at El Royale?
Sure. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I've started to retool my review method, and for me, a 3 out of 5 means it was good. I think it was good.
Sam?
Yeah, so I give it a 4 out of 5. 4 means that I enjoyed it the first time, and I'll definitely see it again. And now this is a movie that I watched a couple years ago, and I own it, and I've seen it many times. I think it's definitely worth a viewing and a second viewing. So I give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I think I'm right in between you two. I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was really entertaining. I thought the performances were really good. But I mean, I guess I should have watched, I guess I shouldn't have watched it so close as The Departed, because The Departed is so good that maybe it would have gotten a bigger rating if I wasn't trying to compare it to that one. I literally watched them back to back.
What did you watch first?
The Departed.
Okay. Yeah.
I forgot that I owned Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yeah, I watched. It's funny. I don't think you bought it. I think someone else did and put it.
No, I think my uncle gave me the code for it on my Vudu. And I was like, oh, how am I going to get this movie? I don't know where to get it or anything. And then
it's funny because I knew all along you had it.
But yeah, a 3.5 out of 5, which is still a very good rating. I think for me, it's not the best that I've seen, but it's also not the worst I've seen. It's just a good movie. It's fun. With The Departed, I am definitely giving that a 4.5 out of 5. The Departed is one of the best gangster type movie. It's not really a gangster movie, but it kind of has to do with the gangster stuff. It's more of a crime movie type thing, but it's one of if not the best that I've seen in that genre. In the performances in there are just standout. Like, why I don't think any of them were nominated for any sort of award, except The Picture was nominated, but I don't think any of them won an award for that movie or anything like that. I don't even think Martin Scorsese won Best Director for it. Did he?
Oh, I don't think so.
I don't remember. And I misspoke earlier too. The first movie Martin Scorsese did with Leonardo DiCaprio was Gangs of New York. Right?
There you go.
Yeah. So I misspoke earlier. I'm sorry. I wanted to say that before Matt started calling the cavalry and everything. So.
That's right. Gangs of New York I actually watched recently too. I got on a Martin Scorsese kick. I hadn't seen a lot of his movies. Gangs of New York was really good. I like that one a lot.
Oh yeah, that one's fantastic. Sam, what did you think of The Departed?
Departed is a masterpiece. But it is a big time investment, as a lot of Scorsese pictures are. So for that reason, I'm just shy of a perfect 5 out of 5. So I'm going to give it a 4.5. But it is a fantastic movie. It is so rewatchable. There's so many subtle things here and there, and the suspense is so intense that it just hooks you in at no matter part where you pick it up. So if you're catching it on TV or halfway through, you're engrossed as soon as it comes on. It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's good from start to finish. Max?
So it was interesting because Sam said this is a masterpiece, and I totally agree. A masterpiece to me is a 5 out of 5. So I am giving it a 5 out of 5.
Oh, that's high praise. It's really hard for me to give a movie 5 out of 5. I don't know which ones I've done in the past, but
I think you gave 1917 a 5 out of 5.
That one was so good.
Yeah,
that one was such a good movie. So yes, I probably did.
And I think you gave Jojo Rabbit a 5 out of 5.
Jojo Rabbit's so good. Oh my gosh.
Jojo Rabbit's good. Yeah. So if I'm comparing it to Jojo Rabbit to The Departed, I guess my rating stands firm.
Let's be honest. 2019 was a terrific movie, or a terrific year for movies, and I think the problem is we had a glut of so many good movies that 2020 is going to be just the exact opposite. We're not going to get any movies this year.
2020's been rough. I mean, 1917 technically came out this year, even though it's considered a 2019 movie. So that was a good start. But yeah, nothing's coming out. I mean, Sonic was really good, but Birds of Prey was just meh. And I don't know, just interesting.
Nothing's coming out. The Invisible Man was great.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It was good.
But nothing's coming to theaters, so we don't get to review anything new, and I'm sad.
Yeah, Black Widow's been delayed all the way to November.
Yeah, I think it's August for Wonder Woman right now. And yeah, it's all right.
Max just shared his review method on the Google Drive, in case any of us were wondering. on how he reviews his movies.
I'm still tweaking it. Well, yeah, it's a couch cruncher thing. I figured you're welcome to know my method.
I'm just.
Oh, did you put it on the Google Docs?
Yeah, it's in the Google Docs. It's not in our show notes. It's a separate thing. I want to make sure I can reference it later. Here, I'll read it for you guys.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm still tweaking it, but also I'll go from bottom to top. Okay, so I've never given anything on Couch Crunchers a 0.5, but if I ever did, it would be because it is unwatchable. I couldn't even finish the movie, is why I would give it a 0.5. A 1 is atrocious. 1.5.
Okay, but you got to give it in terms of something that we can understand. Atrocious. I mean, atrocious is a lot of things, but
I know this is why it's my personal rating method.
Okay, but how is atrocious compared to horrendous?
Horrendous isn't one of them, so you're good. Atrocious and horrendous are going to be the same. 1.5 is really bad. 2.0 is bad. 2.5 is okay. 3.0 is good. And then really good, great, amazing, and masterpiece.
These are all vague terms. Come on, man.
They're all just kind of relative terms. Like,
this is literally, not literally, but this is very similar to how you guys can make fun of me all you want. This is how a lot of extremely successful sites.
Yeah, mine is all about based on how much money I'm willing to spend on seeing the movie. Right?
Yeah, I don't like that. That doesn't work for me. But so that works for you.
One couch cushion is you're going to have to pay me to see this movie. Okay? From the trailer, I can tell you that you're going to have to pay me to see this movie. The only movie that I've ever given a 1 is Last Airbender. Last Airbender, you have to pay me to watch that movie. I can't stand it. I hate it so much. Most movies that I think would be a 1, if I saw them, I skip. Things like After Earth. There's a lot of M. Night Shyamalan.
Max loves that movie.
I've never seen After Earth. What are you talking about?
You bought it. It's on your Vudu.
I didn't buy it.
There's a lot of M. Night Shyamalan titles in the one-star category.
Yeah, I've never seen After Earth.
It's on your Vudu.
It's on yours. I thought you bought it. This is when our accounts were linked. Someone bought it.
I've never even seen it.
I've never seen it either.
2 stars is I wish I hadn't paid to see the movie. Like, it's fine if it comes on TV, but I don't want to be paying money to see it. 3 stars is I'm okay that I paid to see this movie once, but I wouldn't pay to see it again. 4 stars is I'll pay to see it twice. It was good enough to warrant a second viewing. And then 5 stars is I can't pay enough money to see this movie. This is great. It's such a great movie. You know, it's like a whole different order of magnitude better than a 4-star movie. And so, you'd expect to see out of 100 movies that I review, maybe 1 would be a 5-star, 10 would be a 4-star. Most of them would fall in the 2 to 3-star category, and maybe a handful would be a 1-star.
My rating system is do the opposite of Max. So if he says it's 5, then I give it a 0.
So The Departed's a 0.
You gave it a 5. I gave it less than that.
Yeah, the opposite. That's just slightly different. Anyway, I like your review method. It just doesn't work for me. I'm trying to find something.
Thanks, dude. I'm glad you like my review method.
Talking to Sam.
All right, let's talk about some Fab or Flub before we start. We keep ripping on Max over here, but
yeah, I'm like using a method that's like tried and true and tons of successful sites use, and I'm getting crap for it.
It's so vague, though. Like, I hate the fact that it's just like, oh, it's okay, it's good. Like, those are totally subjective terms.
Yeah, review scores in general are subjective.
They don't mean anything. And so, I mean, like, I used to really be a big fan of IGN's Jim Vejvoda and his reviews. But then I realized that there were a lot of places we diverged. And so I just had to start doing my own reviews and come up with a method that I could count on based on how many dollars and cents I'd be willing to pay. Mm-hmm. And I feel like...
See, the reason yours doesn't work for me is that, like, Birds of Prey, I don't remember what I gave it. I think I gave it a 3 or a 2.5. I saw it in theaters twice. because I just like going to see action movies, but I didn't think it was great. You know
so what
I mean?
Max is admitting now is that he's a sucker.
I'm just saying,
He's
like,
not putting his money where his mouth is.
I got halfway through the movie. I was like, what the hell did I pay for?
Exactly. I was like, oh my gosh.
I actually liked it a lot better the second time I saw it. But the point for me is like, I'll see a movie that I didn't love just because it's like, I was on a vacation with my brother. We wanted to go do something. Let's go watch Birds of Prey. So we went and saw Birds of Prey.
There was one movie that I almost walked out of because I hated it so much, and that was Serendipity. Not Firefly, but Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, where halfway through. No, you know what Firefly is, right? So that sci-fi.
Serenity.
Yeah. Serenity. That's the name of the movie. Serenity. But it's got Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. Has nothing to do with Firefly.
The video game one that you were talking about.
Yes, where the twist in the middle is that it's a video game. I freaking hated that movie so much.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it to see if I maybe like it more than Sam.
I hate it so much. It was the first half of the movie is really, really good, and it's tense, and it's building up this really great kind of moral dilemma. And then when they reveal that it's a video game, you're like, okay, well, then the moral dilemma has no stakes.
Yeah,
there's no consequence.
Dilemma. If you kill someone in a video game, there's no consequences.
Doesn't matter at all.
That's why you got to do it funny, like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
In Free Guy.
Yeah, that looks funny.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, my movies, I saw 2 recently that would get a 1 from me. The Turning with Finn Wolfhard and the girl from
the supposedly scary movie.
Yeah, it just ends. You're sitting there and you're missing an hour of the movie. It was great, and then it just ends. So that was really a nosedive for me. And the
Grudge
reboot of The Grudge.
Yeah, you've decried both of those movies multiple times.
They're awful. Don't spend your money on them. Okay, let's talk about Fab or Flub. So I want to start. So there was recently 2 director news headlines that came out recently. The first of which I'm very excited for. So I'm before I even say what that headline is, I'm gonna give it a tremendous fab, just so you guys know.
I think it's the one I put on the screen. So spoilers have already been given to YouTube watchers.
Sam Raimi confirmed as the director for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. How do you feel about that, Sam?
Fab, man. Oh, you didn't ask me.
No, I was going to ask you. I got to pick who talks first.
Fair enough.
Max, yeah, I'm with you, man. This is a total fab. Sam Raimi is a terrific director. If they're going in a horror direction, I mean, Sam Raimi, he's done so many horror movies, so many great horror movies. Evil Dead, yes, absolutely. I think he did Drag Me to Hell, which is kind of a crazy off the wall horror movie. But also he has Marvel chops. He did the original Spider-Man trilogy. So,
and Spider-Man 2 might be one of my most favorite Marvel movies ever made.
Which is so funny because I think the action sequences in Spider-Man 2 don't make a lot of sense if you track them. Like physically, they just don't make sense. But
Spider-Man 2 has a scene in it where Doc Ock is in the hospital in the operation room. They're trying to remove the arms from his back, right? And his tentacles go on this like killing spree, right? Yep. And it's like so traditional to Sam Raimi's directing style that I love that scene. And I think Alfred Molina has been one of the best villains to ever in a comic book movie.
Yeah. Raimi is he's a perfect choice for an MCU movie. Like he knows how, especially if you're trying to go with the horror, because he's got that background. But you see in like some of the Evil Dead movies, especially the later ones, Army of Darkness, he knows how to do comedy. He's done the
Marvel tongue-in-cheek about him that's just perfect.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be fantastic for this. And I'm very excited to see Sam Raimi helm Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. A little bummed that it's going to be moved out a bit, but that's okay. I get it.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the one that I'm not so excited for. Joss Whedon directing Fantastic Four, which is not confirmed, but he has met with Marvel. I'm not excited about this.
I am. I think that's a fact.
Before we go on, I do want to note that if Sam Raimi is directing Doctor Strange, that means we will get Bruce Campbell in the MCU.
He's already campaigning.
He'll be in the MCU, which is fantastic. Bruce Campbell is fantastic. So
make him the villain.
I think that'd be great. Bruce Campbell. Did you guys watch the Evil Dead show that was on Stars?
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. That show was awesome. It was bloody and it was just bonkers, and it was in true Evil Dead fashion. So yes, I think we're all in unison here that this is a great idea.
All right, so you're moving on to Joss Whedon with the Fantastic Four reboot.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. Joss Whedon did an excellent job with the Avengers. We saw what he did with Justice League. It wasn't very good. Age of Ultron wasn't very good. I don't want
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was the weakest parts of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were the Joss Whedon seasons.
Yeah.
It's gotten better as time has gone on, but they were weak under his direction as well.
I just think that I was comfortable with him leaving the fold of the Marvel universe. I want some fresh blood in there. I want somebody that doesn't have any ties to this universe beforehand. I just worry that we're going to get more of the same thing if Joss Whedon were to enter into this. I get that he gets ensemble movies, but Age of Ultron wasn't very good, and Justice League, his parts weren't very good, and I just think Fantastic Four can't survive another misstep.
Another bad iteration.
Yeah. I think they need to do everything possible to ensure that this movie is absolutely perfect. And if that means...
I think Joss Whedon can do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Hit or miss. I say hit or miss. Now, oh gosh.
I'd be much more happy if they gave it to somebody. Like, I know that he has ties with Marvel, but I think James Gunn could do a far better job.
Guys, no, you're missing it. Why not have John Krasinski direct and star?
That'd be great. He's my number one choice for Mr. Fantastic. I think that would be great. I heard recently that they were eyeing him for Cyclops. That pissed me off.
No, yeah, that can't be true. It can't be true.
Plus, the guy can't wear anything here if it's going to insinuate his nose.
Hey, watch it.
I'm just saying, like, have you seen fan renderings of him in the Captain America mask?
No.
Yeah,
Big
it's all nose. It's all nose. You need this upper half of his face.
He would be perfect. Fantastic. I think he would be great to direct. I don't know why. Why not let him do both? I think he would do well. I mean, he proved that he's got directing chops with A Quiet Place. We're still waiting for A Quiet Place Part 2, but A Quiet Place was an ensemble movie. And yeah, he and his wife did most of the heavy lifting, but those kids were very critical too. He did a good job with the special effects. So let's let him give it a try. You know, I would love to see John Krasinski's vision for Fantastic Four.
I think too, if we get John Krasinski, Emily Blunt as the Invisible Woman is pretty much in the bag.
I would love to see that too.
I think that would be great.
I would too, but I do get a little bit concerned because how long do we want the Fantastic Four to go on? They're not old by any means, but they're both in their 40s. And if they're going to be doing physical roles like this for the next 10 years, does that work?
Oh my gosh.
Robert Downey Jr. did it.
Talking about Emily Blunt in physical roles. Did you not see Edge of Tomorrow?
I did, but that's coming up on 10 years
How
ago.
many times? I mean, I would still watch her do those yoga push-ups.
I don't know. I like the casting. I'm playing devil's advocate more than anything, if I'm being honest, to keep the conversation going. Because I do think it would both be older.
It has to be somebody older.
Yeah, if you Reed Richards with the older look is a good thing. You're right.
Well, and he's married to Sue Storm, so Sue Storm's got to be relatively close to the same age.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense, and you know, Hollywood is staying younger for a longer period of time these days.
For sure. Hugh Jackman was like 50 when he did Logan.
Yeah, I mean, they've got at least a good 10, 12 years in them that they can do these movies. So yeah, drag it out. Let's, I think this is a good time for them. Let's try it. Let's give it a shot.
I think the lifespan for Marvel, what they're intending to do, is about 10 to 15 years for these actors that they're getting in. I think starting at 40, being that Reed Richards and Sue Storm are supposed to be young, I think that's perfect. I mean, John Krasinski's not much older than Chris Pratt is. you know. And Chris Pratt hasn't been doing these movies for very long.
As old as Robert Downey Jr. when he took on Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're my top choice. Just I don't want John Krasinski as Cyclops. I think that they could do. I think they could get somebody younger, not as young as Ty Sheridan. I thought that was far too young, but I think they could get somebody. And then here's the thing, though, too. Fantastic Four is going to be carried on with Johnny Storm, right? So you get somebody a little bit younger to play Johnny Storm, and that could be your future after John Krasinski and Emily Blunt ultimately leave the roles. But I think they need to knock the casting of Johnny Storm out. Like they need to make sure that is absolutely perfect.
Why am I forgetting his name?
Zac Efron.
Zac Efron. Yeah, we've talked about him before. I think
he's being eyed for Adam Warlock. I think he is. I think he would make a great Johnny Storm. He's lost a little bit of muscle mass, so he's a little bit tinier now. I don't want this big. Zac Efron had a huge. Have you guys seen Baywatch?
Yeah, he was jacked. He was so jacked.
Jacked, dude. And Johnny Storm should not look like that. He needs to be a little bit more slender.
I said the same thing for Mr. Fantastic, and you shot me down like crazy.
What?
I disagree with you because I said that John Krasinski is too muscular to play Mr. Fantastic.
No, John Krasinski has a slender. He's kind of like Ryan Reynolds. He has a slender flame. He's just really cut.
Yeah,
he's not
okay with him. I'm okay with him being a buff Mr. Fantastic, but I'm just saying I don't think there's a problem with Johnny Storm being cut. And he's the more like getting to fight people kind of guy.
Different than hulking. Zac Efron was nearly the size of The Rock in Baywatch.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
I mean,
huge,
The Rock,
dude. I'm talking about physical mass. Zac
Rock cut weight too. The Rock did come in. He cut weight. He lost about 10, 15 pounds of muscle mass to play that role. He wanted to come in slimmer. He wanted to come in lighter. And then when he came in and did Jumanji, he gained that weight back. But
Zac Efron,
hear me out.
Huge.
So hear me out. For the thing, Will Ferrell.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, that's garbage. What have you been smoking? Get the heck out of here. You need to get out of Colorado, man. You're getting some.
Max is going to timeout.
Contact high. Max got some contact high in Colorado.
8 days, I will be out of here. Okay, 8 days.
From that.
No. What was the other one I saw for the thing? Who was it that they were kind of touting as the thing?
The Rock.
No.
Vin Diesel.
I don't remember who it was. No, not Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel, I think, would make I know that they're looking at Vin Diesel for Black Bolt.
Yeah, get him to shut up. I think that's a good idea.
Well, I mean, he does the voice of Groot, so
I know.
But I don't know. But let me talk about something else real quick here. So San Diego Comic-Con has officially been canceled. It doesn't even sound like they're postponing it. They're going to just move on to next year. We weren't going, regardless. Our big one that we were going to was WonderCon. But I know the guys at Absolute Geek were going, and this is just a blow for just nerd news in general. I mean, every year when San Diego Comic-Con happens, it's just like an influx of news. I remember Matt went last year. He was texting me every 10 minutes about something new that was happening, and I was just posting as much as I could on the Facebook after Matt was texting me. And it's just kind of a shame because you just kind of know like there's not going to be really any big reveals.
That's where I'm disappointed because I wasn't going to go. So like the actual con itself isn't important to me, other than the fact that, like you said, we get a lot of reveals. We get panels with these actors. We get to hear more about the movies that are coming out, and we can do that digitally. And I think that we'll get it digitally. But yeah, it's a bummer. It's definitely a bummer because San Diego Comic-Con has been a great resource for news. In the video game industry, it's the same thing for E3 being canceled. Looks like IGN's going to be swooping in and doing something digitally that's going to hopefully compare. They got a bunch of developers on board. So hopefully something happens digitally to where San Diego Comic-Con, or maybe, I don't know, maybe some like news outlet can come in and do something digitally to get some more news out there, like on a weekend. So it's still exciting, just different, but still exciting. I'm hoping that happens. But yeah, this is a bummer because it's really nice to get all that news.
Yeah, and it's really exciting when you start, they give you casting rumors or casting news and things like that. Like, it just kind of sucks, dude.
Even if it ends up being not true. I mean, I think it was at San Diego Comic-Con like 3-4 years ago that DC came out and said, "Oh, a Cyborg movie's coming out, and the Green Lantern movie, and the Flash," and they had all these big plans, and then it all fell through because their universe fell apart. But it's still exciting to get amped up for this stuff. I like it. The hype is cool. It's fun.
And you can participate. I mean, generally speaking, you can participate in Comic-Con regardless of whether you actually attend. I mean, the Sci-Fi Channel does like a week-long report from Comic-Con every day. They have shows that they're doing. Conan usually goes to Comic-Con, does his shows from San Diego. So it is a lot of fun. It's like a yearly festival for everybody. It's not just the people.
It's like a celebration of nerddom.
Yeah, it's absolutely what it is. So it is a real downer. We're all feeling it. We all wish we could be there. We all wish that the festivities were going on. But in the meantime, you get a chance to talk about things that you haven't thought about in a long time, like El Royale and Departed. You can talk about those things.
Yeah, movies that because we watch so many movies, it's just the nature of the beast is that we miss some, right? We don't have the time nor the energy to watch every single movie that's released. So this gives us a chance to watch some of our backlog a little bit and catch up on some things that we haven't watched before.
Yeah.
There was a couple other things. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's premiering in May, which I'm extremely excited about. May, do you know the exact release date on that, Max? May 27th. This has been kind of sitting in limbo. Like, we didn't really know when it was coming. We knew it was going to be hopefully sometime this year. We didn't know if the coronavirus was going to delay these things. It's the final season, so it's going to cap the story. We're going to get the end of the stories of this is pretty much the last hurrah for the old Marvel television production studios, that brought us Daredevil and everything. This is the last little evidence that television studio existed before Kevin Feige took over everything. I think it's great that they're giving it a cap off. How do you guys feel about that?
I agree.
I one of the things that's been kind of weird with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that they try to do things that are MCU adjacent, but not necessarily in the same continuity. They had when Infinity War took place, they had something that was very similar. Like, they don't even acknowledge the Thanos activities. They had something very similar, something very earth-shattering or earth-ending, kind of like a doomsday scenario, but it ended up being more related to time travel and multiple timelines than it was the snap. They didn't really acknowledge the snap, so it's always adjacent. They didn't really ever get the chance to acknowledge anything other than the Captain America Winter Soldier, where Hydra is outed as having infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. for many years.
That was awesome.
Well, the first big one was after Thor: The Dark World.
That one kind of sucked.
It kind of sucked. It was really hyped up, but they were cleaning up the mess from that movie because there was a big ship in the middle of wherever Thor: Dark World ended.
They had tie-ins to everything to a small degree until Infinity War. That's when the tie-ins ended, and that's when they just straight up acknowledged, we're MCU adjacent now. We're not actually they straight up came out and said that they're not really following along anymore, which was disappointing. So while I enjoy the show, it sucks that it hasn't been part of the MCU. I'm glad it's ending, but I'm glad that it's ending on their terms rather than just being straight up canceled.
Well, Daredevil, I mean, we're never going to get an ending to that. Punisher, which was one of my favorite, we're never getting an ending to that. Just kind of sucks, it's the end of an era. But let's be honest, they had more misses than they had hits. That entire movie studio. There was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a lot of boring seasons. They had some good ones, but they had some boring ones.
Yeah, I couldn't get through last season. I still haven't finished it. I found it kind of
was that the one with the time travel and
no, that one was great. I love that.
What was last season?
The last season it still involved the time travel.
Oh yeah, it was the reappearance of Coulson as like a life body double or something.
Oh yeah. That was a little rough.
I haven't gotten through the whole season because I've watched like 2 episodes and I just haven't been interested. But I have to watch it now because I want to finish the show. But
well, I gotta say though, Daisy, Fitz, and Simmons are some of my favorite characters out of the entire Marvel universe. It'll be a shame to see, especially Fitz and Simmons. It'll be a shame to see those characters go. Daisy could have had some real awesome storylines with the main group as Quake, and I would have loved to see Fitz and Simmons interact with Robert Downey Jr.'s character.
Oh man, that would have been great.
I also you said they've been mostly misses and not a few hits. I would say that the Netflix series Daredevil was a hit, Jessica Jones was a hit, Luke Cage kind of a hit. Like the first
season was a hit. The second season was
dud. Iron Fist was like, what was that? I don't know. That was kind of weird.
Well, and then their
second season was better, but yeah,
fell flat too.
Punisher was really good. Well, all right. Second season, they delivered in the very last episode what we really wanted to see through the whole series, which was an Iron Fist that actually could do the job that he was supposed to do, like an actual competent Iron Fist. The first 2 seasons, he's just kind of a knucklehead that goes around talking about, I'm the immortal Iron Fist, defender of Kunlun, and you're like, okay, well,
you're not acting like it.
Yeah, shut up, trust fund, right?
They're doing something.
Well, I think the issue with Iron Fist though was the actor that played Danny Rand. He was just so wooden.
The actor definitely was part of the problem, but the writing was another part of the problem.
It was so dumb. It was dumb. And then they had the gal who played his like, she was like the hand double agent. She was really fun to watch, and she was
awesome.
And then in the very finale of the second season, where he's got his Iron Fist and the gun has Iron Fist, and then Colleen has Iron Fist, like that was awesome. Like why didn't they just do that in the season? Why did they just use it at the end? And then now they'll never have the opportunity to show us what we really wanted, and that's their fault.
Colleen was the only reason I tuned in every week.
It was so good.
They gave us 2 seasons plus all of Defenders, and they didn't give us what we wanted until the end, and that's on them. They could have done a better job, and they didn't.
Yeah, I feel like when you start out to do one of these kind of comic book shows that has a large resource of history to pull from, you have to go in and say, okay, well, what are the highlights? What are the most important parts of this character? What are the scenes that we absolutely have to include for the fans?
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that they make it in the first season. And then in the second season, you go up from there, and like you make it bigger, you make it better. And then the third season, you turn everything upside down. That's the MCU. That's the MCU formula: is you do the origin, then you do bigger and better, then you turn it upside down, and it always works for them. They've done very well with that.
Except for Captain Marvel.
Well, she's on the first one.
That's only the first one. You still have 2 more to go. So,
it doesn't even feel like they give you much of an origin in that movie.
No, they don't. They give you.
I'm saying they kind of screwed with their formula in that one.
Well, you're talking about internally, but it's origin story, more bigger and better, and then everything upside down. That's the Marvel formula for the trilogies.
Yeah. Well, there was one last thing. So I don't know if I was the only one that was really excited, but Lucifer season 6 that was supposed to happen may now be in jeopardy because contract talks with its star, Tom Ellis, looks like it may be falling flat, and we might not get the season that we've been promised. They've been advertising it on Netflix that another season is coming, but now it's not looking like it's coming. Do either of you watch this show?
I have been tempted to watch it. Tempted. I've been tempted by Lucifer.
I misspelled everything. Crap.
But
I think that's right. I don't think that's.
no,
I still think that's wrong.
You know, after the E in Jeopardy.
Well, that's not as bad as what I did today.
Is that right?
Yes.
What I
That
did
was so
today
weird.
is I posted on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook about our show tonight and said that Martin Scorsese directed Bad Times at El Royale and Drew Goddard directed The Departed.
Yeah, I saw that. I took a screenshot, sent it to Lance. I was
Why
like, hey,
didn't
it's
you
the other way
fix it?
around?
Why did you wait for me to go fix it? You should have went and fixed it.
I was busy.
Yeah.
Plus, the last time I made a mistake, you made me fix it, so I was going to make you fix it.
No, I fixed it. You don't remember I fixed it? I said, don't worry about it. I fixed it, but make sure you pay attention.
I think we both fixed it then. Anyway, that's beside the point. So Louis
So
season
I'm
6
just
now in
trying to-
Jeopardy. I don't
Anyway.
care. I don't care about this.
Have you watched
This is like I have not. This is just like Supernatural. Only Lance and a few other people care.
No, Lucifer was canceled
kidding.
on Fox, and it had as big, if not bigger, of an outcry than what Brooklyn Nine-Nine had. Brooklyn Nine-Nine was saved quicker because a movie studio owns it, whereas Lucifer doesn't have that same luxury.
Yeah.
That's why they had to go Netflix. Lucifer might be the best DC TV show I've ever seen. Because it's perfectly cast, the stories are good. Constantine, the first season, was also very good. But it might be that it deals with dark elements. That's why I like it so much. But
I want to watch it.
both of you watch it. It's very good.
I
Guess
want
what? Dude? I started watching Doom Patrol today just to get you off my back. So you better watch Lucifer.
Fair enough. I was just going to say, you need to watch Doom Patrol.
I watched the first episode today, and as soon as I get off the show, I'm going to go watch episode 2 because Anna's actually watching it with me, and my screen will not refocus. But I started watching Doom Patrol. You need to watch Lucifer.
I do. When I move back down to Arizona, I'll start watching it.
So, guys, there's a whole bunch of other headlines the headlines are kind of dry right now. We don't need to get into it. I'll just do a quick run through. Hugh Jackman's basically forfeiting the role of Logan. I know Marvel's been courting him. At least that's what's been reported. He says, I'm done. He's officially put a cap on it. He says he wants somebody else to take the role. The other thing is Chuck, the cast of Chuck, had a table read yesterday of one of their fan favorite episodes. So we actually got the cast of Chuck together again. And so I am hoping that this leads to the movie that's long been promised that Zachary Levi's been trying to get off the ground for years. And the last thing that I want to, there's one more thing, two more things. Sorry. Green Hornet and Kato reboot is currently in the works by Universal Pictures. Let's hope Seth Rogen has nothing to do with it. And the second is we almost got a Batman Beyond live action movie where Clint Eastwood was going to be Bruce Wayne.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. So I just saw that tonight. That bummed me out when I read that.
Oh, my bad cave.
That would have been cool. That
Batman
been
Beyond
cool.
has been one of my favorite Batman storylines ever, just because I thought it was so unique. In fact, Iron Man pretty much ripped it off with Ironheart and everything like that.
It would have been just like Gran Torino, but instead of the Gran Torino, would have been the Batmobile.
Right.
The Batmobile and the Batsuit.
Although, if they wanted to do it, Kevin Conroy knocked it out of the park on that Crisis of Infinite Earths. I'd be okay if Kevin Conroy came in and played an old Batman. Not as much of a dick that he did in Crisis of Infinite Earths, but that'd be cool. But that brings us to the end of our show tonight.
Well, I wanted to tell you guys a story really fast. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find the news article. Anyway, it's not super important, but is this it? No. So I got booted from a group earlier this week for something really funny. Here it is.
From what group?
I got back in, but I'll tell you the whole story. So someone posted an article from Fandom Wire, and if you aren't familiar with Fandom Wire, they're a little better than we got this covered, but they're still pretty bad. And it was an article that said Snyder Cut is not coming, and Warner Brothers will never work with Zack Snyder again. I will not ever trust anything from this site until I see like legitimate things come from them, because they've had so many duds. And I didn't realize I was in the group that is run by Fandom Wire's CEO when I commented and I said, hey guys, be wary of any articles from Fandom Wire about this kind of stuff. It's not a reliable site for news. They're great for memes and stuff though. And the CEO of the company saw my freaking comment and he booted me from the group because he was so pissed off that I had an opinion.
Well, there's something to be said about these studios that try to just do clickbait without doing any sort of. They don't have any journalistic integrity whatsoever.
Yeah. So he kicked me from the group. I had no idea. And then like a day or two later, I get a message on Facebook from an admin, and he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that so and so booted you." And I asked him why, and he said that he was just being petty and he was mad. So I sent you an invite to join the group again if you want to, and I did because it's a fun group to talk with people about movies and whatnot. But I just thought it was so funny that this guy got so mad at me for saying that I think his site is not reliable because they're not. Just sorry, they're not.
No, we got this covered. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. They're still reporting on things. They hold true, man. They hold true. I just want everybody to be aware that we will never boot anybody from Couch Crunchers. If we did, Matt would have been booted a long time ago. Just kidding.
I wouldn't say never. We've had bots come into our YouTube chat before that I've booted.
That's not people. That's bots.
Fair enough.
You can say whatever you want because if we give license to Matt to say half the things he says, then anybody can say anything they want.
Very true. Very true.
I'm just kidding. Matt, he doesn't know yet, but he's going to be on our show next week.
We talked about it earlier when he was listening.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk Brigsby Bear next week.
Now. Sorry, Lance. Matt's not listening right now. He's busy posting lyrics to Total Eclipse of the Heart on Facebook.
Oh, man. Yeah, he's...
No, honestly, guys, go check out Absolute Geek. They're very good friends of ours. We tease each other back and forth. The special thanks to Larry from the STS guys that popped in real quick on the chat. Go check out their channel. It's probably going on right now. And go check out all our friends, Geeks Who Eat, Grizzle Geek,
Comic
Exposure. Travis, hopefully, he told me he's going to be going to try to be on the show next week. So hopefully we'll get that to happen. But we have lots of friends out there. We follow them on our YouTube channel. We in fact we have a special YouTube playlist that has a lot of their videos on it. So go check out our friends and tune in every Saturday here at 7:00 ish. For Couch Crunchers, the live podcast, and we will see you next week. Keep on geeking on.